What's going on, guys, and welcome back. We are in the shop today, but we will not be in the shop this entire video. But big news, and this has kind of been coming for a long time. When I announced that I was partnering with Velocity Sled Performance and Will, the owner, we talked about clutching. And what I love about Will and I love about his company is he will not release anything until he has personally field tested it and made sure that it is grade A stuff and that it's actually doing what it's supposed to be doing. So we are now to the point where Will has released clutch kits for the Boost, and I have my hands on one. So today we're gonna be installing it in the shop, and then I'm gonna go and ride it, which we'll video, and then I'll tell you guys kind of how I feel. So as I was editing this, I realized that I didn't specify a pretty big ordeal with Will's kit. So he actually has two options for a clutch kit. You have just a standard clutch kit, and then you have the kit and fix. So pretty much Will was not 100% thrilled with the characteristics of the P22. So the fix is his way of making it work the way that he would like it to work. So pretty much the fix includes, and I have the fix, so the fix includes billet cover, spider shims, spring glide washers, and pretty much what it does is it has better grip for like low and mid, and that was one thing that I didn't even like about the stock. I felt like it was very weak to grip, like gripping the belt down low. It has cooler belt temps. It allows the primary to get into full shift out as you're going through, especially mile an hour runs. It's, going to help with mile an hour, and it's just better sheave alignment. So you have the kit, and then you have the kit and fix. This is the kit and the fix. So from what I'm understanding is he's telling me it's just an overall better experience. It pulls better, it back shifts better, it helps with what everyone is calling a throttle hang, which I've also talked about. So I'm excited to get this thing on here and see what it does. And per our last video, we did do a lot of testing and stuff. I just didn't have Will's stuff with me yet. It got jammed up in customs, but now I do have it. So I'm excited to get into it and kind of go through it. And if we walk over here to our bench, we have our goodies. So we do have a new cover. And again, this is all for the P22. So we have a VSP, Velocity Sled Performance cover. We have weights, secondary spring, secondary helix, and a couple washers for the primary. So this clutch kit will come with all the components that you see, and it's also going to come with a primary spring and different weights. When Will sent me this kit, he was still waiting on a couple things. So it will have different weights, and it will come with a primary spring. So I haven't gone over how you pull these things apart, and they are much different than your P85, which is what used to be on the sleds. And I already started kind of taking this apart before I started this video. So how to get these, primaries off. So pretty much you have to take all these bolts out of the cover, okay? But this is spring loaded. So what we did is I actually have two longer bolts that I take two of the standard length bolts out, put two longer bolts in, and then pull the rest of them out, just so you're not fighting with that spring. It's gonna pop off and hit you. So once you pull that off, then you can pull your bolt out, which is an Allen. It's a 12 millimeter Allen. You pop that out, and then so your spring's out, and then that black bushing in there actually has an O-ring, so you gotta kind of wiggle that out. And then that'll get you down to your spider, and then your spider will pull off the actual shaft, and I'll show you guys once I get in there how to do it. But it is different, and so I'm gonna go ahead and pop all these off, and I'll get inside there so I can show you guys a little bit better. Okay, so this is how many components come apart of this thing. So you have your movable sheave, you have your cover, spring obviously, your bolt. This was that, I can't even think of what I called it earlier in the video, but that's the one with the O-ring on it. And the bolt goes through that. And then this is your spider. So a lot of components that come apart. So we're gonna go ahead and pull these weights out. The only thing we're changing in this primary are the weights to what Will had sent us. Primary spring, we are going back to the factory spring. And then we just need a couple washers, so on and so forth. But this is how it is when you guys look in here. So P22, this is your bearing that your primary spins around. That's why we don't have an adjustment bolt on the secondary, because this bearing just spins here. Your bearing, you have a bushing. We're gonna have a spacer on the outside of that, and then I'll show you guys when we go to put it all back together. I'm also gonna clean everything in here and get it all spick and span. And then secondary stuff is already over on the bench, and I'll go over that also. So again, here on the primary, we are just changing the weight. So it's just, you pull these, you know, take the nut off, slide it out. It's hard to do one-handed. Pull it out, whatever, which obviously a lot of you guys are gonna have stock. This is something that we were testing. You're gonna take your new weight, make sure these little metal clips stay in where they're supposed to. You put your new weight in there, put your bolt back through, and then that's it, and then it's reassembly for that. See, it slid through so much better. But that is it on that. And then I'll show you, these are the spacers that need to go with it, so I'll show you them, and then we'll get into the secondary. So onto the secondary, I have gone over how to pull these apart, but I have a spring compression tool. Your helix, which is, where did I put the stock helix? Oh, it's still on the ground. It's held in by 4 T27 Torx. I use an impact driver and heat to get them out. They are blue Loctited and they are in there really, really tight. So heat is your best friend. But yeah, pretty much once you get that out, you have your secondary retainer that pushes down and that C-clip goes over it. You have to need a couple specialty tools, and then that comes out, goes over there. You grab your new spring, and compressed air is your best friend, guys. Go through these things, blow them out. A lot of belt dust gets trapped in here. Wipe them clean. They're very happy when they're clean, and they're unhappy when they're not. And these are all marked. So you have X, X, X. So I'm gonna put this all back together and drop the new helix in that we have, which this is for big rollers. So you don't need to change your rollers back over to the small ones. So this is just a 1-angle helix. So I'm gonna slap back that together and then show you guys putting the primary on, and then we're gonna go ride it. All right, so now everything's cleaned up and we're getting ready to reassemble. So the way that Will wants us to do it, put a dab of grease on this bushing here, or actually technically on the spacer that goes onto the bushing, get it nice and centered, and then wipe all your grease off. So that bushing goes right up against your bearing there, and that's important here in a little bit. And this is gonna be hard, very tough to do with only one hand. We're gonna get this laid on here, like so. Get our weights to stay in, like that. Where is our X mark? All right, so our X mark is down there. I might have to put you guys down because I'm gonna need 2 hands for this. Pretty much you're gonna slide your spider on after this, which is marked. Come on. All right, I gotta put you guys down. Sorry about that. So we got our spider in, and again, this is, everything moves, so you wanna mark everything. Bruce had this one apart, which is why it's marked there. But everything needs to line back up because it is balanced in a certain way. So once you have all that back on, you just wanna make sure that your movable sheave slides nice and easy, seamlessly on that. And then you're gonna pop this old girl back in, like so. Then you can have your bolt, which is up here. And what you're gonna wanna do here, just hand snug it in there. Again, and then you just wanna make sure that, see, so we're not 100% lined up, it doesn't seem. So let me mess with this. You wanna make sure this movable sheave goes on and off that bushing easily. If not, you're not lined up. So you need to make sure that bushing is lined up and that your movable sheave comes on and off seamlessly. And again, it's hard to do with one hand here. So, whoops. And then you just snug this up, and then once you get the rest of it on, once you get your spring on, your cover, then you go and you torque that to 110 foot-pounds. It's actually more than a P85. And when you are putting this all back together, the easiest way to make sure that bushing is true to the bearing, you want to have this movable sheave, and of course we can't because everything's back on right now, but you want to have that movable sheave half on the bearing and half on the bushing, and that'll keep everything true. And then you can just hand tighten that, put the rest of it together, and then torque it down. I just didn't touch on that a little bit ago, but that is the easiest way to make sure that bushing and that bearing are true and that they are 100%, this movable sheave goes on and off very easily. And just like that, we're all back together. It looks great. This cover is very, very, very good looking. Just gives it that little bit of pop. And we are gonna head out on the snow, and I'll let you guys know how I feel about it. Holy smokes, what a night and day difference. Honestly, it is true. It's night and day. It is better across the board. There is not one part that feels worse than it was factory. Every part of it feels better. So that is responsiveness. It is 10 times more responsive. It is better on and off. Like if you were to get out of it and get back in it, it is immediately right there. When I felt like the factory stuff was lazy in that department. It pulls consistent, which is my biggest thing. It's like the stock stuff, I felt like it would just fall off constantly. This is right there all the time. It doesn't matter snow conditions. It could be big, heavy, wet stuff. It could be hard pack stuff. It is going to pull regardless. And at the end of the day, it is pulling more top speed. I actually saw 3 more mile per hour than I did when we were doing all those drag racing on the lakes. And it was probably in a half of the distance, I would say. It honestly was a huge, huge difference. I wish I had a much longer run. I wish I was back on that lake where I was a couple weekends ago doing the drag races with the boost and the 9R. But it is honestly just incredible how well this works. And it is not very often that you get a kit that you put in there and it is better across the board. I've got a lot of kits where you put it in and it's like, okay, well, it's better down low and it's worse up top, or it's better up top and it's worse down low. This clutch kit with the fix, with the cover and everything and the different shims is unbelievably different. So you guys heard it here first. I would grab these things up while you can because it makes riding experience so much more fun. I literally had the best time on this sled since I've owned it. It was that much better. And I know it's just me saying it, but wow, is it a difference. And I had 400 miles on stock. I have 150 miles on this kit. And I know, like I said just before, that I didn't line them up, but my butt dyno is pretty good. And I had enough time on this sled stock that I know that this kit is a bajillion times better than factory. And I'm excited to to go ride it, and I will be riding it again this weekend. So that is my overview, guys. I highly, highly recommend this clutch kit and the fix kit. It is a world of difference. It is a night and day difference, like I said, and you guys are gonna have that much more fun, and you're gonna beat up on a lot more sleds with this kit than you will if you run a stock or someone else's kit. And I also forgot to mention that it did fix that throttle hang that you guys are feeling. He kind of manipulated how it was, he saw what it was doing, so he, in his clutch kit, kind of manipulated it to stop that from happening. And I tried to get it to happen because I know where it kind of does it, and I could not get this thing to do its throttle hang where it kind of hangs at 5,500 RPM. So this is your fix for now. That's gonna do it, guys. I hope this was a good installation video, and it kind of gives you guys a point in the right direction at least. But if you guys are interested in this, contact Will at Velocity Sled Performance. Make sure that you tell him that I sent him over to you. He's a great guy. He's very knowledgeable, and this just proves my point as to why I partnered with him, because I wanted the best in the business, and this is exactly why. This stuff works. His stuff works. And again, I'm excited to put some more miles on it. So that's going to do it for this video, guys. Make sure to like, make sure to subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.